Hello. Welcome to this Mini-Feldenkrais awareness through movement lesson, freeing your neck and shoulders. I'm Tiffany Sankery and happy to have you here. Happy to experiment in this way. If you're new to Feldenkrais, welcome. If you are familiar with it, welcome. We will begin in sitting. So come sit on a chair, ideally a firm chair with a flat seat. Come sit towards the edge of the chair. If that's not possible for you, then sit wherever you are. And take a moment to sense yourself in sitting. Just notice where your attention goes first. And then notice where your eyes are looking, the direction that your eyes are looking, and what you see in your environment with your eyes. And notice as you're seeing, so you have this external information you're getting, this feedback that you're getting through this vision process. And then also notice the direction that you're looking, where this thing is that you're seeing. Is it a little down? I'm noticing for me, there's a little down and to the right. So just notice that direction. That is kind of a neutral for you right now, or for whatever reason, that's the direction you started with. And then notice the distance of your right ear to your right shoulder and compare that distance to the other side. So sense the distance from your left ear to your left shoulder. And not doing anything to correct or to judge yourself, but just to notice. And then notice if your head is turned a little bit to one side or to the other side, to the right or to the left. And then notice the distance of your chin to your chest. Just kind of make a note of that to yourself. And where is your head in relationship to your pelvis, in relationship to where you're sitting? And do you feel that you have more weight on one side of yourself compared to the other side? Okay, and now do a little bit of turning, but before you do, notice as soon as I say that we're going to do a little bit of turning, do you have a sense of which direction would be easier for you to turn, which direction you spontaneously think of turning, and then go ahead and turn that way, whichever way feels right there available for you, and make a small movement of turning. Come back to the middle and then turn the other way slowly. And go back and forth, just seeing what's the easy range right now for you to turn. The quality of the movement and where you feel this movement is happening in yourself. Okay, and then leave that and come to lie on your back. And ideally lie on a somewhat firm surface, a little pad, a mat. You can lie with your knees bent or your legs long. Make sure you're warm enough. So get settled on the floor and take a moment to sense your relationship to the floor, your contact with the floor. And then notice where you're looking. So whether your eyes are open or closed, notice as you're lying on the floor like this, if you can sense the direction of your gaze, the neutral direction right now. And is it similar to what you sensed in sitting or different? And then roll your head a little bit from one side to the other. Now, The rest of the lesson will be on the back, but if you wanna do this in sitting, you can do this in sitting. You can also do this lying on your side. You just have to adjust my instructions a little bit, but the instructions will be transferable to these other positions. You can also do this in standing. So I'll give the instructions as if you're on the floor. So on the floor, roll your head, notice the differences, just very gently rolling just the easy amount. And then leave that and get a sense of the way that your shoulders are lying on the floor. Just compare your feeling of your right shoulder. Is it resting on the floor? Is it lifted from the floor? And your left. Are you aware of a difference? And then bend your knees and stand your feet and very slowly begin to lift your right shoulder a little bit away from the floor. So you're just taking it forward, so a little bit towards the ceiling. And if you're doing this lesson on your side, you just take your shoulder forward. Also, if you're doing this in sitting, you do a little movement of your shoulder slightly forward and then come back to neutral. And do this several times, reducing your effort, just feeling the beginning of the action. So we're in this particular lesson, we're operating in this threshold of below the regular amount of effort that we bring into our movement, and we're just taking it down several notches to feel a tiny little movement of your shoulder. What is that like? And is there a response anywhere else in yourself? I notice some breath freeing up as I'm playing with this. So what are you noticing? Okay. Now coordinate rolling your head to the left as you take your right shoulder a little bit away from the floor. And then return them back to the middle at exactly the same time. So roll your head to the left as you lift your right shoulder away from the floor and then return to the middle. And just notice what this is like. And allow your eyes to also turn to the left. See if that supports the movement. And then come back and pause for a moment. And now, same movement, lifting your right shoulder away from the floor. Roll your head a little bit to the left. And this time, notice where you press into the floor. Do you press more on your left side of your chest or the right side of your chest? And then exaggerate what you feel. Exaggerate this pressing into the floor somewhere in your back or maybe your left shoulder or your ribs, and allow that pressing back to be what supports the lifting of your shoulder and the rolling of your head. And you might notice as you do this that as you increase a little bit the pressure in your chest going backwards, that there's a little movement of your chin coming away from your chest. So if you're doing this in sitting, it's like you're folding your chest a little bit, schlumping your chest a little bit as you turn your head to the left, and that will then take your chin a little bit away from your chest and then return. Just in your own timing. And then move your hand, if you are playing with having a hand on you, move your hand a little bit more towards your lower ribs on the left. And as you lift your right shoulder, roll your head to the left, take your lower ribs a little bit closer to the floor, folding in your lower ribs, in your chest, and notice how your chin could come a little bit away from your chest as it rolls to the left. And then let that go. Pause for a moment and notice what you feel. And now continue to lift your right shoulder away from the floor, but this time roll your head to the right and coordinate lifting your right shoulder away from the floor as you roll your head to the right. And you might notice from the beginning a little bit of the chin coming away from the chest, or maybe not. Several times. So now you're taking your head and your shoulder a little bit towards one another. And then you could continue while pressing into the floor where you feel there is a pressure already, just increasing the pressure into the floor in the area of the chest, perhaps on the left side. And that this would then encourage your chin to come a little bit away from your chest and return. One more time, just enjoying whatever it is that you enjoy most about this. So doing it with pleasure, with ease, searching for the easy path, and then come back to the middle. And now alternate. So lift your right shoulder away from the floor. Once roll your head to the left, come back to the middle, and then roll your head to the right. So moving your head in the direction of your shoulder as it's lifting, and then rolling your head in the opposite direction of your shoulder. And you can play with including the movement of your eyes in this movement of your head. And then rest and notice if you sense a difference between your two sides. And roll your head a little bit from one side to the other and notice if you feel a difference here. Okay. And then lift your left shoulder a little bit away from the floor, small amount, and notice from the very beginning, is it a different sensation? Is it a different quality? Does the pressure go to a different place in your chest? In the back parts of yourself? And then begin to coordinate, rolling your head to the right as you lift your left shoulder away from the floor. And do that a few times. So you lift your left shoulder, roll your head to the right, and then little by little begin to pay attention to where you're pressing into the floor. And you can use your right hand to help you kind of soften your chest on the right side to support this lifting of your left shoulder away from the floor. And that this softening of your chest would invite your chin to come a little bit away from your chest as your head rolls to the right. So a little more of an arching in the back of your neck, just what's easy, simple, gentle. And come back to the middle. And now lift your left shoulder as you roll your head to the left. So your head and shoulder coming towards one another. A few times, coordinating that possibility and really listening that you're just moving the amount where there's no pushing, no straining, just a delicate coordination. So what we're interested in is the coordination rather than a big movement. And then little by little, play with this idea of increasing the pressure into the floor where you feel there is a pressure into the floor, so that as you lift your left shoulder and roll your head to the left, that you Soften the ribs into the floor on the right side of yourself, and that asks your chin or invites your chin to come a little bit away from your chest as your head is rolling to the left. And then alternate. One time, roll your head to the right as you lift your left shoulder. One time, roll your head to the left as you lift your left shoulder, allowing your eyes to participate, looking for the smoothness in the movement, smoothing it out. And then pause and rest for a moment. Notice the way that your shoulders are lying on the floor. Roll your head a little bit one way and the other way. See if you sense any change there. And then when you're ready, roll to your side and come sit. And make your way to stand. And as you're standing, just take a moment to sense what it's like to stand, sense your shoulders, where your head is, how your spine is, how your weight is on your feet. And you could play with turning to look a little bit around yourself in standing. Notice where your eyes go, notice what you see. And then walk a little bit. Notice what you feel as you walk. What are you aware of? And then make your way back to your chair. Come sit again at the edge of your chair if you started that way or wherever you began. And just notice what it's like to sit now and what neutral is for your gaze now, where your eyes are looking. The feeling of the balance on the two sides of yourself. And the thought of turning, which way do you think of turning when I invite that? And then go ahead and turn and look around yourself and notice what you are aware of. Is there a difference in this experience of turning compared to the beginning? What are you noticing? And we will end here. Thank you so much for joining in. And I would love to hear, what are you noticing? If you feel moved to comment in the comments here, I would love to hear what you're noticing, how that was for you, what you're feeling. You're welcome. You're welcome. I see some thanks. Yeah, if you have one word to describe your experience, sometimes it's hard to put it into words, but what's the first word that comes to your head? View is the word that comes to my mind. I feel like I have a bigger view. I noticed how much I like doing this sitting up compared to laying down. Great, I'm glad you were listening to that. Felt grounding through my hips in walking. Nice. Deliciously soft chest and ease. Better. I had a pretty tight neck, more flow. Lovely. Ease, softness. Felt like I could turn a little more easily. Nice. Nice. Mobility, granular. Lovely. Well, thank you so much. And if you are watching this as a recording, I'd love to hear about your experience. And also, if you did this lying down and you want to come back to this recording later, do it in sitting, see what it's like, or do it on your side. That's also really interesting. You can just adjust the directions a little bit to adapt to those situations. Free, comfortable. Once I started walking, I felt emotion. The movement of our feeling, of our sensation, of our thinking, that getting these differentiations in. And we're spending so much time on Zoom these days and the computer, and this becomes like one unit. Head, neck, shoulders is like one, and our direction of our attention is like this. So this breaking up of the patterns in this subtle way can bring in movement of our sensation, movement of our feelings, movement of our thoughts. Thanks for sharing that. I feel like I can start my day now. That is a really nice way to start your day. Grounded. Released strain on the right side. Choose the opposite direction as neutral position compared to starting out. Feel more like butter. Shoulders at the same height now. Wonderful. Yeah, and so anytime in Feldenkrais lessons that the teacher says, now do this on the right, and you would rather reverse it and start on the left, absolutely adapt and change and modify the directions to suit the feedback that you're getting. Softness. I feel the gaze seems more straight and wider rather than focusing on a limited window view. Nice. Beautiful. My nostril that was blocked is free now. Awesome. So seems to even out the breath flow. Nice. So I am streaming this in the Move Create Practice Facebook group at the same time that I'm also streaming it live on YouTube. This is a totally new adventure for me to be doing this simultaneously, and I'll see how it worked. And some things that are coming up at 1 o'clock in a half an hour. I have my Feldenkrais online drop-in class. It's a pay what you can class. And right now we're on working on this book on the foot series, which is pretty cool. And all the lessons from that drop-in class go into Movement and Creativity Library. And Movement and Creativity Library is an online membership library with over 200 Feldenkrais lessons and organic intelligence practices, creative practices with over 20 different teachers. And we open up the library for guests to come visit for free the last 2 days-ish of every month. And the library is also open for new members at that time. And this month, it's going to be open for 3 days. And we also have an event happening called Creative Sparks. And I've just confirmed the lineup. We're going to have David Zemach-Burson, who is a Feldenkrais trainer, who's awesome, who is going to teach a lesson on neurological balance, action, and creativity in the Feldenkrais method. And we have Steve Hoskinson, who is the founder of Organic Intelligence, is going to do something called Holographic Blue, How We Are Healed Before We Know It. And Amy Summers is also Organic Intelligence faculty. She'll do something on creative parenting. Amy Walsh, who's an awesome artist and educator, is going to do part 3 of Image Play as Deep Work, which we have part 1 and 2 in the library. And I'll teach something called, what am I calling it? A Creative Path to Strength and Length, which is a riff off Jeremy Krause's work, Feldenkrais-inspired work called Solvents and Glue. It's his approach, Jeremy Krause approach to strength and stability. So I'm super excited about all this stuff. There's also the Feldenkrais Summit that starts May 1st for 10 days. So there's the lead up to the Feldenkrais Summit, which are mini lessons in the Summit Facebook group. I'll put some links to all that below. Those mini lessons are happening daily with different teachers at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And then there's Creative Sparks, which is April 28th through 30th. So there's like a lot of lovely free stuff happening, and happy to see you all and cross paths with you in these ways. And I'm leaning in this direction of doing some kind of Facebook Live YouTube thing on Mondays at noon. I will confirm if that is actually true. um, and where's the 1 o'clock class? I'll put the link in here. It's on Zoom. I'll put the link in here in the flow, but I'll sign off now and post all the links. Yay. Thank you so much for being here and experimenting. And if you have time to go walk a little bit outside, look around, it's a nice thing to do after lessons. Thanks.